What's up, you guys? Teller checking in with you. I want to talk a little bit more about this main event matchup that's taking place tomorrow night at UFC 287. Israel Adesanya looking to finally get some redemption against his arch nemesis, Alex Pereira. We know that Pereira has really had his number. He's now 3-0 against Izzy. He's knocked him out in the last two fights. This is such a huge fight for Israel Adesanya. I've been thinking about it over the last couple of days, and I wanted to hop on the mic and just talk about a few things that I've been seeing throughout the fight week. First and foremost, let's just talk about how big of a fight this is for Israel Adesanya. We already mentioned that Pereira has taken him out 3 times in a row. Israel Adesanya is arguably a top 2 UFC middleweight fighter of all time, right? It's really between him and Anderson Silva. If you want to talk about any of the fighters that are even creeping up on their heels, I think that they're a little bit far behind them. And you're talking about guys like Chris Weidman, Gegard Mousasi, a true great, but obviously didn't spend enough time fighting just in the octagon, bouncing around the mixed martial arts world. Robert Whittaker is right in the mix as well, but Whittaker, having lost to Israel Adesanya twice, it's kind of hard to even really throw his name in the mix with the Spider and the Stylebender. So this is a huge fight for Israel Adesanya. We know Anderson Silva took a couple losses throughout his career as well, even though it was so great. But keep in mind, when he was in his prime, he really wasn't getting it. He really wasn't taking L's that much at all. In fact, Chris Weidman was the lone guy really to give him that knockout loss when he was in his prime in the octagon. And Anderson Silva wasn't able to get that redemption either. In the rematch, of course, he breaks his leg. So if Israel Adesanya is able to go out there and get the redemption that he needs, it means just that much more when you take a look at the all-time UFC middleweight rankings. So just, I want you guys to understand that there's a lot on the line in this matchup here. Of course, again, the redemption against Pereira, that's a no-brainer, but people are starting to forget the legacy that Israel Adesanya has carved out. And this fight right here is without a doubt a legacy fight. Now, I'll tell you this much as well. I think that Israel Adesanya, I don't know if he necessarily needs, but I want to be clear, it's very important if he can go out there and get the knockout victory. Now, if he sneaks by with a decision victory in a closely contested match, it will definitely carry some merit. I mean, he will get that monkey off his back, finally getting the victory over Pereira. But if you think about the damage that Pereira has done to Izzy, specifically in the last 2 fights, I don't know if just we combine a decision is enough. I think in the back of a lot of our minds, we'll always kind of feel like Pereira is still the real dog of the division, the real pit bull marching around, and Izzy might have to hand that dog collar over to him still. But Izzy has been saying all fight week that he's going to bring this fight. He's going to bring the fight to Pereira. He's looking to get a knockout. If you guys have been paying attention to all the press conferences, he says this fight's going to be short. He doesn't want to talk a lot. He says short answers, short fight. I think that he knows that he needs to get that real redemption. He's into all those type of animes and all those types of warrior type cartoon stories, and there's always some good writing going on in some of those shows. And I think that he knows, playing the character that he is, just sneaking by with the decision, that's not how the story's supposed to end, right? If you want to really go out in a glorious fashion, you go out there and you starch Pereira, right? And that's one thing I want to give credit to Israel Adesanya for, because he understands that. I think that he clearly understands that, and I like the energy he's bringing. Now, I will say this, a couple things that I've noticed from Izzy throughout this fight week. I don't know if I'm sensing a lot of confidence in him. He's saying all fight week that he doesn't want to talk a lot. He just wants to perform in the octagon. And I think that those are little slight signs of some of his confidence lacking. Israel Adesanya, if you guys are forgetting, he's a fighter that has always liked to talk on the mic leading up to the fights. He likes to tell his opposition that he's going to freeze them like Stella, or whatever her name is from Frozen. I'm going to freeze you like Stella. Don't quote me on that line. I don't know exactly what he said, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He always has those little quick one-liners. He likes to bask in his confidence, and I really haven't seen any of that from him this fight week. And I noticed it in multiple ways. Again, with the short answers, not wanting to talk a lot. I do believe that he has a great poker face. I'll tell you that much, especially if you saw the last question that was asked to him in his recent pre-fight scrum, where one of the guys asked him what his thoughts were on the fact that his head coach thinks that he's taken this fight too quickly, and that he should have took more time. And you really saw the style bender freeze up as if it was the first time he was hearing that. I think there's just so many things going against him. Now, I want to be clear. If there's a guy that can handle this pressure, if there's a guy that could rise to the occasion, I do believe Israel Adesanya does have that type of potential. He's a real star. He's a true stud of the fight game. And I know a lot of you guys are big fans of his. I'm sure you guys were going crazy when he walked up in his long skirt and dog collar to the press conference. I know a lot of you guys dig his style, even though, I've been on the mic before kind of saying that I'm not crazy about that style, but I know you new age kids out there love that. So I won't hold you to the fire there. Two other telltale signs that show me that Israel Adesanya is really uncomfortable going into this fight. First and foremost, at that same press conference that we were talking about just before, he was complaining about people making too much noise in the back when he was being asked very simple questions, and it seemed like he was having a tough time gathering his thoughts on the simplest of questions. And that's just not the style bender that I've seen at press conferences before. In my opinion, he's a guy that's really focused in. He's quick-witted. He has quick responses. And it was very interesting to see him kind of freeze up on the mic the way he was freezing up on the mic. And if you guys saw that press conference, you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, you could take it a couple different ways, but one thing's for sure. This isn't the same Izzy that we're normally seeing, in my opinion. I really think that his mental is going to be very different when that bell rings. I'm telling you guys. He was also asked twice at the press conference if he foresees another match with Pereira in the future. And in my opinion, it was very clear that he wants nothing to do with Pereira again, win or loss. He wants nothing to do with him. If he goes out there, starches him and gets a knockout, if he squeaks off a decision, I think that Izzy just does not want to look across the cage and see the eyes of Pereira ever again. His first response was, he froze up for about 5 seconds as they asked him, which was very weird. He was kind of frozen. You could kind of see what he was thinking through his eyes. And then he eventually stated, no, I'm focused on this fight right now. It was almost kind of eerie the way he answered it. And then once again, he was asked towards the end of the press conference, and he just hit up a flat no, that he's just not thinking at all about facing with this man again, which I think some of you guys would agree with all the damage that Pereira has done to Izzy. Even if Izzy was able to sneak off that one victory against him and get a little bit of redemption back, you would think that Izzy would want more of it, because the score would be 3-1. And inside the octagon, it would actually only be 1-1 even there, 1-1. And even if he knocked him out, if he was fortunate enough to get that knockout, you're still talking about 1-1, both guys getting knockouts. You need to settle the score. To me, that was a telltale sign that Israel Adesanya is going through it mentally, and he knows that this guy is just a straight-up savage, and I think that he's tired of it. The style bender was quoted on the mic the other day stating, "He who laughs last laughs best." And I think that is exactly what his mindset is going into this fight. He wants to get a little bit of redemption Saturday night, and then he wants to never look across the cage at Alex Pereira ever again. He never wants to deal with him again. He is tired of dealing with this man for valid reasons. The guy is an absolute savage. And, I just want to kind of give you guys what my mindset is as I analyze the style bender going into this fight. And I also think there's a lot of merit in what Pereira also said on the mic earlier this week as well, when he used the comparison of Israel Adesanya wanting to have a quick rematch against him, similarly to when Alex Pereira was a kid and he was in trouble from his mom, and his mom would tell his dad, and he knew he was getting a whooping at the end of the night, and he just wanted his dad to come in and get it over with. I think that there is a lot of truth to that. Now, I'm not saying Israel Adesanya wants him to come and give him that whooping. I'm thinking, Israel Adesanya definitely wants that redemption, but he's just anxious. His nerves are going. He wants to just get this situation over with. Israel Adesanya will be very live to get a knockout in this fight. We saw him hurt Alex Pereira at the end of the first round. We know that he is a sharpshooter. He obviously has a very realistic possibility to win a decision. I mean, he was up on the scorecards going into that 5th round in the last fight. But I actually am believing that Israel Adesanya is going to go out and look to get the knockout. He's going to bring the fight. All signs and everything that he's been stating has pointed towards that direction. I am believing in Israel Adesanya's energy. I say that he goes out here and really tries to make this a legacy fight, and he goes out there looking for that knockout on Pereira. And I just want to let you guys know that's going to be a very dangerous task that he's going to be trying to do, because when he brings the fight to Pereira, Pereira is going to be extremely live to pull out the buzzsaw and chop Izzy up. All right. I think that you could say, in fact, that if Israel Adesanya brings that style into this fight, I think that he's at a slight disadvantage. If you take a look at all of Izzy's masterful performances, he's always been a counter striker. He's really never been an aggressor. And I just don't know, as he tries to shake things up and kind of show a new wrinkle inside the octagon, although he's a stud, I just don't know if Pereira's the type of guy that you want to do that to. We know Izzy's going to be riding high with his emotions as well. And I think that there is a recipe for disaster going into this fight. And I think that there's a very strong possibility we see an early knockout for Alex Pereira in this big time legacy fight taking place in the main event at UFC 287. One thing that we know is whoever gets the job done will be leaving with the belt. And for the foreseeable future, they will be controlling the middleweight division until the man by the name of Bo Nickel starts to ease his way into the top 5 and snatches that belt up and holds it for the next decade or so. You guys enjoy the fights. Signing out, Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.